Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another 2024 election prediction. This time we're looking at the 2024 governor's map slash gubernatorial map. And there's been a few rating changes, I would say. But starting off, I think we should just categorize the safer states. So there has been some polls in West Virginia that have shown something could happen if Manchin were to run as an independent. Manchin were to run as an independent. I think he could probably get this race at least to likely R, because Steve Williams would probably drop out in that scenario and endorse Manchin. And again, Patrick Morrisey, he isn't really the best candidate for West Virginia, so Manchin could actually have a chance at beating him in a governor's race, which is less polarized than a Senate race. But right now, it looks pretty likely that Manchin has pretty much already shown that he's declined. He pretty much said no to it, but he's leaving it open, and that's why he swapped to an independent. But I don't think it's likely he runs. I think we're probably going to see Steve Williams run, and he's probably going to lose by a safe Republican margin because it is West Virginia at the end of the day. But yeah, that's just my current rating on that race. Moving over to Indiana, Mike Braun's going to be the next governor here, most likely. I don't think the Democrat really stands a chance here. Going on to Missouri. Again, I'm pretty sure Ashcroft is running. Yeah, he's very, very likely to be the next governor here as well. He's the current Secretary of State over there, so these states are just safe Republican. Phil Scott is running for re-election in Vermont, and he's an extremely popular governor. Most Democrats vote for him, even. He even voted for Biden in 2020, so he's a very liberal Republican, so he's a huge favorite to win here. Going over to Delaware, with term limit and incumbent, but really there isn't anyone amazing on the Republican side that'll really make this race interesting. So this is pretty much a safe blue state. Let's check out North Dakota and Montana, see who's running here. So looking at this, yeah, I think him being a U.S. representative here for the at-large district, very, very likely to win the election here. And let's just check out the Democratic side. They see if they even have a chance. No, it's just a state senator. So honestly, I don't think Democrats would really put that much weight into this race with fundraising. And I don't really think the Dem is a spectacular candidate. They don't really have a lot going for them. In Montana, yeah, I think Gianforte is probably going to end up winning here again. I don't think there's a really strong Democratic candidate on this side. Yeah, not really. Nothing in their bio that really shows that they could maybe have a chance here. But it is a Republican incumbent running, so it's probably going to be safe red. Utah's also going to be safe red. The Republican incumbent is probably going to end up winning the Republican primary here based on the polling. So I do expect Spencer Cox to win in Utah. So now we're on to the three interesting races. So the Cook Political Report even pushed Washington to lean blue, which is quite interesting. Because you take a look at the polling, and most recently, it looks like Bob Ferguson's starting to pull away with the race. There was some early polling early on that shows the Republican had a chance here. But this is a race to keep an eye on. I'm interested to see further polls done in this state, but I still think Ferguson's favorited here to win, probably by a likely blue margin. I do think it'll be a decently close race. Again, local races like this one are different from national ones, so that's why it's likely blue instead of safe blue, which is what it's going to be in the presidential election. So it's going to go under 10, I think, right now, this governor's race. Moving on to New Hampshire, there hasn't been any polls done in here in a very, very long time. Last year, it was the last few polls. And just based on how the presidential race is narrowed up in New Hampshire, Biden only leads by 4 here. I'd say the Republican candidate is a much better spot now that Biden isn't winning here by 7 or a likely margin. And I'd even put the Republican candidate as a narrow favorite to hold on to this seat currently, just because Biden's doing a bit worse in the state than 2020, according to the new polls done in New Hampshire. And yet has led in the most recent polls here. Really, this is a big question mark, this whole race. I think there should be more data on it so you really could have an accurate gauge on what's going on here. But right now, I think the Republicans are narrowly favored to win. I think Yet is currently the narrow front runner. That could change if a new poll comes out showing the Dem up, though. And the most interesting state is North Carolina, because this is just truly going back and forth in the polls. But Stein, he has led more polls overall than Robinson has. And Robinson typically, he led in a inside Republican poll, Republican internal. Other polls just have a million undecideds, like this High Point University poll that I would probably disregard. I just don't like polls with this many undecideds. You could push your polling people a bit more here when you're asking them questions. Emerson College showed Robinson up by 1. A lot of undecideds as well here. But just based on what Robinson said in the past, all those statements and all those possible drags on his campaign just due to those statements and the type of individual he is, I think Stein's narrowly favored here, but not by much, because he's only leading by like 1 point here, and I would probably only put it as a tilt-a-blue state, honestly, because it'll be a more competitive race, I would say. Because North Carolina only goes one way. It's either lean R, tilt R, or tilt blue for elections. So even if the Democrat wins, it's going to be by a super narrow margin here in North Carolina. But Robinson, he very well could win. I would probably put Stein as like a 60% favorite over Robinson, even though the polls are very close. I just think Robinson personally, I think a lot of his statements really would drag down on him. There's like a new statement every month he said that I really feel like would hurt him with independent voters, and that's why I could see a lot of undecideds going into the Josh Stein camp here. Now, Trump, he could help Robinson by winning by 5 or 6 points in North Carolina. That would probably almost be enough for Robinson to pull off a victory here in North Carolina. So if Trump wins here by over 5%, which would be a likely R margin, then Robinson has a pretty good shot at winning the governorship here and flipping the state red. And that would be pretty bad for Democrats' chances here. We probably could see North Carolina start to trend Republican from that point instead of being a swing state that kind of just stays neutral or even trends to the Democrats a little bit. From 2016 to 2020, you saw North Carolina get a bit bluer. So, yeah, North Carolina could go the way of Florida if Robinson were to win the governorship here, I would say. So this really is a fight for North Carolina's partisanship, this governor's race here. If Stein wins, then the state is in contention for Democrats in the future. If Robinson wins here, it might be fading away from Democrats. So it's a real fight for North Carolina's future in this governor's election. But I would still put Stein as a narrow favorite here. So the governorship, total governorship stays the same at the current number. Pretty much there's no change in this current map unless New Hampshire or North Carolina change hands. Washington's a race to keep an eye on, but really there's only 3 competitive races to watch here. The rest are just going to be safe Republican or safe blue. But other than that, that's my 2024 gubernatorial / governor's map prediction for the month of June 2024. So if you're new to this channel, I'd highly recommend subscribing. Other than that, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.